I see us over there.
All right.
I see us over there too, by the way. We're there.
We made it.
Oh no, you had sound. They had sound before we had video. That's funny. Whoops.
I wonder if I said anything bad.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Please let me know if I said anything bad.
No, we don't.
All
We
right.
don't
If
see the
anyone's got
comments.
questions, we are there. We should be live. You should be able to hear all of us, I believe.
Yeah, do we normally put it on top?
Holler in the chat. Let us know if you can hear all
Yeah.
4 of us.
Hey, there's Dean.
Is the sound going to go on and back?
Hmm?
That one won't play sound and back, will it?
Hope not.
Okay.
Tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
You guys starting up the YouTube on your other screen?
Yeah, we're trying
Yeah.
to, but I'm going to walk in front of the camera here, so be aware.
Who's that guy in a red shirt?
Yeah, guy in the red shirt. What do you do?
It's Santa Claus.
I don't think so. I think that's all.
It's okay. It's okay, Ed.
Red shirts are the ones that don't come back.
We got a red light.
There it is.
Okay, you're better with these things than I am anyway, but basically you're trying to get to YouTube.
Thanks, Brian. Brian says we're loud and clear.
It's easier for. I'll step out so you can go in that way.
Thank you.
Step around all
You
the.
didn't like the
All
fact
the
that I
cords.
walked right in the middle of the
Well,
picture?
No, I just didn't want to see a trip on a cord because that's what I would do.
Well, no. And then if you had to go to the hospital, we'd have to lock up and finish pulling orders tonight.
We've been pulling orders since we got here today, so
Welcome to my world.
yeah.
They're good at it too, by golly.
Well, we've been getting some practice. Happy to say we're getting there. So if there's any mistakes, it's Mark's fault.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
You'll know because I autographed every one of them.
Yeah. All 2 of them.
All the ones that I pick, I autograph.
He picks all the easy ones, the little short ones,
Oh, I do.
one item in it.
I do.
I keep picking 4 pages. I'm like, what?
I do.
And funny, I still get mine done the same time as you. So.
No, because you have to help me find my one.
Oh, okay. Yep. Nah, it's like Christmas anyhow,
I was just gonna say, I envision Mark going through the aisles, going, one for the order, one for me, one for the
Uh-huh.
order, one for me.
Well,
That's not our mark. No.
Well, they don't go in my pocket,
so
Dean. I mean, what does that mean?
Ed knows before we leave, he has to check the back of Mark's truck because when we pulled in today, there was a ton, literally 1 ton of Spectraply on a pallet sitting outside that was all allegedly brought in. But I don't know. Mark disappeared for a while, so we need to check the truck.
Wow. Wow. I love coming to this once a month.
Yeah. Get
All right, we
picked
got
on
31
for-
people. Nobody's asking questions yet, though. Any questions, anyone? 10 minutes before we
Oh,
go
good
live.
job. Good job. Now get the chat up on the side of it, on the top one. Hey, she got that far. What the heck?
Heck yeah.
You never know. She might succeed at it.
I see that chat.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I've got this one.
Yeah, but
You guys have to look a little harder.
I'm going to need one of them scroll saw magnifying glasses that they put out in front that you look through when you're working. I'm kind of needing that anyhow, so.
Hey, Jake's here. Pimey says the springs are reversed on Mark's truck.
Wow. Now we're all joining in. Wow. Nice. Wow.
Hey, as long as I don't have to help him unload it when we get to his house. So,
You did the last 2 months you did.
yeah,
There we go.
perfect.
Robert,
Thank you, Don.
Hey, good job, Don.
Robert says he likes the sleek new cigar.
I haven't turned one of those yet.
It's a very straightforward pen. I turned one.
Yeah.
I'm very experienced. I turned one. But it's very straightforward and easy to make.
Mhm.
And the tube is the same size, same diameter as the cigar pens.
It's all 10 millimeter.
Yeah,
I like the size of it.
yeah.
Yeah, I like I've always been a fan of the cigar pen.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I do.
Does the
too.
new cigar still have the 4 different bushings?
No, because it's one tube.
Yeah, it's a single tube.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So plenty of room to play in there. A lot of customizing options.
I gotta turn you down, Dean, so it's gonna look strange that I'm playing with stuff, but
I can do that is it loud for all of you? I could, if it's loud
No,
for
I'm-
everybody.
no,
Very
you're
good.
good. You're good.
Okay.
Now she just knew I was deaf, so she turned it up.
What'd you say?
That's it. Pick of the month packs. Oh, that's a thought. That's a thought. We're gonna have a couple of giveaway packs today. One of which, well, I guess 2 of which will have some blanks that John brought with him that he made for the purpose of giving away. So yeah, we're kind of halfway there. We just need to let Mark and John wander around and see what they think is the pick of the month.
Hmm.
The trouble is that trying to find something that they'd like to give you is not as easy as having them find something they'd like to keep.
Oh yeah, that's the hard
Yeah.
part. It has to leave my hands then.
Yeah.
So David just says, had a left-handed man ask me if a pen could be made with a left-handed transmission. He said the right-handed are inconvenient for him. I would say right off the bat, David, my answer to that would be the classic cigar because it's a twist either way.
Yeah, I
Yes.
was just going to say that the classic cigar pen does exactly what Dean said.
Yep.
And you can buy from Exotic Blanks a package of 5. They call them double twist transmissions, and they will fit most cigars. So yeah, if you've got cigar pen that you've already got and you'd like to make it backwards, just get the double twist and you go both ways. And what double twist means, in case you're not familiar with it, turn to the left, it goes out. Turn to the center, it comes back in. Turn to the right, it goes out. So when I sold at shows, almost every cigar pen I sold was a double twist because at that time it was very popular.
Yep.
Now, part of the issue that comes into that is that it is easier to put it into your pocket extended. If you don't carefully get it to the center point and retract it fully, you will get it into your pocket extended. An extended pen in your pocket has the ability to make a nice spot on your shirt that is ink and is not very removable.
So David said he knows cigars had that option, but he's looking for a different option of pens.
So you said you had transmissions for some of the Sierras? Or?
No, some of the only one that I know of that does that is the cigar.
Oh, okay.
I don't know of a transmission that's made that works for anything else that will go both directions.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't imagine. I don't know of any.
No, everything's set to turn that direction.
Yeah.
Is that
So
new
sorry,
one the one-
David.
Is that new cigar the one that's called the Sleek cigar? Is that what it's
One-
called?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
I was going to post a link to it since we're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if the twist is an issue, you might have to go to the clicks, huh? The EDCs.
Yeah, you don't want to go to the clicks, and of course Gatsby is a Sierra lookalike from Penn State that is a finial twist. It is not a body twist.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, there's a few of those. There's also the Executor
yeah,
or Executive
executive.
and the Squire.
Yeah,
The-
Squire's a nice looking
Yes,
pen
yeah,
too.
The Squire. I love the Squire.
Yeah.
It's a nice looking pen. The executive is a rather low end pen, so
Yeah,
you'd be a little careful with that. Not bad, just not.
yeah. There's
No,
not a
it's
lot of
getting low.
finial twists out there, though, are there?
No, and that's an interesting question as to why not, because they essentially have now the Vertex is a finial twist, but they have a good design. Their transmissions are reliable. It's reliable if you get one that they 99% of them work out of the box. But there are such things as ones that come to you that don't work.
Sure.
So, if people tell me, well, I had all kinds of trouble with them. Well, you had 1 out of 100 that you had a bad transmission.
Well-
That's not all kinds of trouble.
Nobody's going to unscrew it and push the transmission up the tube either.
That's right.
It eliminates that fix.
That's
So,
That's right. And it's like most Penn State pens. They're good pens. And
I do notice, if we're just talking about transmissions and stuff like that, I don't know if you guys have ever found this out, but like the fishing pen, with that being so long, there is a lot of, I would say on most of them, I know it's supposed to slide in and hold and then be able to slide out. I actually find that the transmission locks in that top.
Mm.
And then you unscrew it, it all still works the same. You unscrew it, replace your refill in it, no one would know the difference. But it is not, you cannot slide that top off on the fishing one easily at all.
Mhm.
And I mean, I have had that probably on 20 to 30 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the fishing pen, while it looks like it's a slide and twist, it's not.
Gregory, is it possible to start a bushing system where bushings are listed by inner and outer diameters instead of the current system? There are currently over 1,000 different bushings that exist. If you'd like to put together a directory of all those by size, feel free.
Well, there,
There is, however, a app that is from the IAP, the International Association of Pen Turners, and that app has got all the bushing sizes that were current
Yep.
like 4 years ago. I was one of the people who measured, and Wayne from the IAP, Wayne Rasanowski, took the time to put all of them in a table, then set it up so that it works on Apple, and I think they have the other version
Yeah,
too,
Android.
don't they? Android version now. So if you want information that is probably 80% complete, that's the answer for you. It costs $1.
Mhm.
But the amount of time that you have to put into measuring, and understand that what we're using to measure, what I was using to measure, is a caliper. A caliper is not accurate to 1/1000th of an inch. So you will find that they're plus or minus about 0.003 of an inch. And there are numerous people who have complained because they're not dead to the thousandth of an inch. So honestly, we have, as an industry, done the best that we can to give you good information. But it really doesn't seem to matter how much information we put out there. Everybody would like to have more. And I'm not complaining about that. I'm only telling you that from a time sink point of view, you have no idea how many hours went into that. And I was one, yes, but there were 4 or 5 people that just spent a tremendous number of hours. Now, we're pretty fortunate. We only have 2,000 pen styles. So with 2,000 pen styles times 4 bushings, I really wasn't all that busy at all, as you can see. But there's just an awful lot out there, and it's not as simple as it sounds when you say, well, why don't we reorganize this? If we put them all into a table as we did, and you want them organized in a different way, I believe that app is pretty versatile. I believe you could organize them. I mean, you could ask the app for all of your bushings by outside diameter, and I think you'd get it. Either one of you use it enough to know if that's
I don't
true?
use it enough to know.
Yeah, I don't use it.
I don't use it at all.
I have it.
Yeah.
I've used it for trying to find comparables between pen sizes and bushing sizes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if I'm looking to swap a tube or cut something down, I want to see what's the same size. But a lot of that also comes down to the manufacturer. I mean, we've seen some manufacturers, primarily overseas, will make a pen and call it the same name as what a manufacturer in the States have made, but it's a different brass size. So they're not compatible parts.
Yeah, you have to be very careful about that. They're, as John says correctly, And at one time, not only from Asia, you were also in the same problem with Australia. They were making pens and calling them things that are common in the United States. And the pen looked just like the one that they called it, but the dimensions were off by a few thousandths.
Yep.
So if you tried to use somebody's bushing on somebody else's pen, even though they both had the same name,
Yep.
it didn't work.
You know, there's a lot of them too, where they had to amplify on that one. Ed, there's a lot of component sets, if you will, that call themselves junior.
Mm-hmm.
Junior this, junior that, junior this, and they're not all the same bushings by any means.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so just because it starts with the name junior, they're significantly different.
Well, in some of those juniors, it's not so much the inner, because the tubes may be the same
Yes.
diameter.
Mm-hmm.
It's the outer diameter of it, what you turn it down to, that's going to line up. So I think one that comes to mind is the junior Emperor.
Yeah.
Which is the finish size is totally different than the other. So the end of the bushing that goes in the tube is the same, but the finish size that you need to turn it down to is what matters, or it won't mate up smoothly to the pen parts.
So, Dean, has there been any other questions?
There was one person asking about a kitless snap cap video, and I replied back, I don't know that any of you guys have made a kitless snap cap video that I'm aware of. So other than that, I think that's most of the questions that we've caught up with at this point in time. And we're at 6:02, so I think it's time to fire it up.
We will do that. Thank you, sir.
One quick thing also, you have to pay attention to junior ballpoints and junior fountain or rollerball, because there's a significant difference in bushings for those two.
Correct. And there's significant difference in the size of the tubes.
Yep.
Not significant enough that you would notice it right away, but the tubes are different sizes for the ballpoint compared to the rollerball.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get started, and we could talk about that a little bit more if you want to later on, because it is a topic that you ought to think about, know more about, particularly what does junior mean. So anyway, let's get started. Let's make believe like it's 6 o'clock. Sorry about that. I try not to be late, but I guess we're late for a little while today. So I'd like to just basically start as we normally do, saying thank you to everybody. And everybody's back together, away from all their trips and so forth. So we have Dean helping us out as always, running the producer, taking care of all of us and keeping us all in line. Good luck. And then Mark and John are back again, and they were off and on. So glad to have everybody back together. So today is kind of a response to people who have responded to our last one. The last show that we had, you may remember Mark did a pepper mill from start to finish. And we get a lot of feedback, generally speaking, meaning we get 6 or 7 people that respond. This time there were like 15, 20 people that responded and said, I really like that format of doing a full start to finish.
I thought they just liked Mark. Sorry.
No.
Most of them said
Let's not
That's just what I'm saying.
Let's
That's what
not
I'm
get ahead
going.
of ourselves now. Come on.
So at any rate, we are going to be trying to a greater and greater extent to show whatever we're doing from start to finish. That for me is going to be a little difficult because I don't think I've ever done anything start to finish in front of a crowd. But part of what we hope we will succeed in doing here, tonight I'm going to be making a pen from corn cob, something I used to do a lot of years ago. But in doing that, there are a lot of procedures that have come to pass since the time that I was doing it. So I will be doing those things, but more important than that, Mark and John are both here. And as we're doing things, they will be contributing too. Well, I do it this way, or I do it that way. So when we're doing this, we have the advantage of having 3 rather seasoned turners who can come back and tell you, yeah, well, that way works. You see him doing it. But I do it this way, and that works too. So I hope that what this will result in is a much wider exposure to how to do whatever it is we're doing with more than one technique. And I can tell you that all three of us can turn a halfway decent pen. So whatever comes up, it's something that will work if you give it the opportunity. So much for what we're doing and why we're doing it. Tonight, I will be running most of the stuff at the beginning of the presentation, and then John and Mark will contribute too. So cheer up, you'll see something other than that. But right now, I want you to take a couple of minutes to listen to Mark, because he has just announced the MPG, Midwest Pen Turners Gathering. Those of you who have been there before know what it is, but we never know who's listening on these. So we'd like to give everybody the opportunity to hear about it straight from the horse's mouth. So come on, horse, go for it.
What part of the horse? No.
Mouth.
Sorry, yeah.
Mouth.
I just want to let you guys know we did open up the website. It's www.midwestpenturnersgathering.com. And thanks, Ed, for the time. In the past, we've had, and we plan on getting about 300 pen makers at the event. We've got 14 demonstrations fully scheduled. Right now, we're looking at about 80 to 85% of them being pen related. There's a couple of them that we're still working out. We're hoping to get someone to come in and talk about lathe maintenance. We're also looking to bring in a couple small turning ideas. And that's much like Ed, much like you do it here. We ask for a lot of feedback on it. And so what we'll do is take a look at the feedback, what we have. But the demonstrations look pretty good. And I'll tell you, the other thing that looks really good is the vendor area. Our vendor area, I always think it's spectacular, and I spend way more money in the vendor area than anything. It will be anchored by Exotic Blanks. Easy wood turning tools will be there. So for those of you who are thinking about carbide or have any questions, I will tell you Chris and Christy will both be there. That's the president of Easy Wood will be there. The Pen Smiths. Who else, John?
I get Mike Harden.
Mike Harden. Fred Wisson.
Yep. P-Town Subby.
Woodcraft. Woodcraft is one of our sponsors.
Mike Broberg.
And I'll tell you, it's also a great opportunity. We will be getting in the lathes from Woodcraft. Currently, we're working with Jet Powermatic to be getting in the lathes. And we will then be selling them off the floor at a significant discount. And so if you're looking for a really good lathe, it will definitely be there. Jet Powermatic in the past has always donated a lathe for us, and we make that our big giveaway. I think in general, we give away between $8,000 and $9,000 worth of product
Easy
that we give away at the event. So long story short, MidwestPenTurnersGathering.com. The only reason that I wasn't going to mention it today, but we are, is the sooner you sign up, the more tickets you get for the grand prize. So if you sign up in the next couple days before the end of the month, you actually get 6 tickets for the grand prize. If you sign up in November, you get 5 tickets, 4 tickets, 3 tickets, all the way down to if you sign up in April of next year, you're getting 1 ticket. So in summary, 2 full days in April in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, MidwestPenTurnersGathering.com. It's a fantastic event. I see Greg Kozad is commenting on the side, and he's commenting MPG. If you get the opportunity when you're there to actually see Greg is actually the person who put this all together.
Yep.
This started out as an event in Champaign. Greg has been there. The other one of our vendors that'll be there is
Rich
Coors. Rich Coors then ran it for, I think, 3 or 4 years. Yep. Then it went out to the team in Ohio, and they ran it for 3 or 4 years. So it's a great way to see 300 other pen makers. The earlier you sign up, the better you're going to be at getting the prize. And the other thing is we've worked a special deal with the hotel that if you sign up for your room between now and December 31st and you use the link in our website, you're getting $30 off your hotel room. It's a great deal. If you have any questions.
And we're not in a tent.
Yeah, we're not in a tent this year.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, please go on the website, send it to mpginfo@yahoo.com, or Ed, is it okay if they use the?
Oh, sure.
You can always use sales at Exotic Blanks. Send any of your questions. They'll make sure that we get to me or one of us answer it. So hopefully we'll see you there. And without any further ado, I'll watch the questions on the side. If there's any questions you guys have, please let me know. But the sooner you sign up, the more chances you get at the lathe. But with that and any further ado, I'm going to hand it back over to Ed. And Ed, you're going to be talking about doing one of these corncob pens.
That sounds like what I'm talking about.
Awesome.
One thing we should say about the MPG that Mark kind of missed, the room full of vendors is really an interesting place when you think about it, because those vendors, since we've moved to Hoffman Estates, I don't think there's been a turnover of one vendor. We really have the same people all the time. The room is full. There's no room for, but John coordinates with the vendors, so he would know more than I do. But I honestly don't think we've ever had somebody say, I'm not coming back.
I think our waiting list is
We have a waiting list.
Yeah, we have a waiting
We've
list.
had the same waiting list for years, and nobody ever gets in because nobody ever goes out.
Right.
So yeah, I'm happy to say Exotic Blanks will be there, and I'm confident they'll find room for me. So
And then Terry, I see a question on the side. How do you get one of those fancy shirts? If you're talking about the the MPG shirts, you can always just send an email to us. If you're talking about these cool Exotic Blank shirts that you have, I'm sure Don can tell you where on the website you can pick one
you're
up.
looking at the only 6 that exist.
Oh, really? Wow. Oh, you
So,
got
yeah.
the T-shirts. You got the T-shirts.
Yeah, we got lots of shirts, but this particular one, these are the only ones that exist. I had them made for the AAW, and it was a rush job. But after I got them done, I looked down and said, I really like those. I don't think I'm going to make those available. So,
And Greg points out, for those of you who are unaware, you were actually at the first MPG.
that's correct. I was at the first MPG, and I was not Exotic Blanks. It didn't exist at the time. So yeah, it's
All right, we'll start on it, but I have one more question here. What is the weather like during the time of the MPG? That is a phenomenal question, because I will tell you this. We have had it where I think last year it was 70 degrees out,
this is
and it was
April.
pretty nice in April.
I understand it's April.
We have had it where 2018, where Thursday was 70 degrees, and I went in a T-shirt and my jeans. Saturday it rained. Friday it rained. Saturday when I left, I was still in just my T-shirt and jeans, and we had 3 inches of snow on the car.
Yeah.
And I had to drive home in the snow. So it's Chicago weather. You never know. But lately we've had it at really good weather, and we've been in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So.
It's pretty good.
So we haven't had to shovel snow since the first one. So,
And there will be,
we're lucky.
you know what, if you don't mind, we'll talk about it more as the months go on, but now's the best time to sign up. You get the most tickets for the lathe.
Yeah,
Sure.
and Mark's clearing everybody's car windows if it snows.
That's right. That's right.
That comes with the ticket.
Mark generally brings a jacket now, just in case. I don't know what happened there. So much for fun. What are we going to do tonight? Well, we're going to make a pen out of a corn cob. This corn cob will be the corn cob in question. One of the things that I typically have done when I'm doing demonstrations, I go too fast. So I'm going to do everything in my power to do this step by step and not rush through it. But if you feel like I'm going too fast, too slow, whatever, feel free to put it in the comments. Hey, step it up a bit. I'm getting bored. I can do this process in about 10 minutes, but I don't plan on doing it in 10 minutes because I really want John and Mark to kick in too and say, well, I could do it this way or I could do it that way, whatever.
I
So-
could have picked you up a dozen on the way. The combines are in the field.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Well, this is, as you know, farm country.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too long ago, you may have noticed as you went past through there, there's 4 feed bags full of corn cobs that came from the county fair for Racine County. So
nice.
I still have some friends in that industry. So at any rate, it's not hard to get corn cobs. And you can make a pen out of a corn cob without having to have it stabilized. I will tell you it isn't all that easy. And it's much easier if you do have it stabilized. We sell stabilized corn cobs because this one is stabilized. That's how all the other ones here. It's much, much simpler to try to turn it when it's hard than it is to try to make it hard as you're turning it. I did them before there was stabilization. And what you did was start with a corn cob and then get out your CA. And essentially, as you turned it, you made sure that you continuously soaked it with more CA so that it would continuously be hard. Now, the thing about soaking with CA, if you've ever tried doing that, it isn't a lot of fun with the smoke that rises from it as it settles into the product. So if you're going to do them and you want to do one without the CA, I will tell you the thing that could be an advantage if you're planning on doing staining of it. The stabilizing juice does make it less receptive to stain. This is the one that I did to prepare for this. Where are we, John? Dean? Is that you got a camera that'll hit that?
Yeah, this one.
That one. That's what I thought. Am I in the right spot? I don't see that picture. Okay, there I see the picture. Okay,
There you go.
so that's what it looked like. Okay, and this is diluted Trans-Tint that I use to stain it. But as you can see, the areas that are not the holes get more stain than the areas that are the holes. Oh, thanks. That one's good. I can see that. So yeah, if you did not dilute the stain, you could get a much deeper color on this. This is stained, and then I put a CA coating over the top of it. Not a real great finish, just a coating over the top of it so that the stain wouldn't be the top thing, just in case it would rub off on your fingers. And I left it on the bushings for a reason. When I took this off the lathe, I couldn't get the bushings out. I realized at that point that one of the things I should be talking about is make sure you take the bushings out before you get your CA on it. And we'll talk about that when we get to that stage. And we'll talk about how John Underhill took it and turned it into bushings and a blank again when I thought it was one piece forever. So that's a little of the background of where we're going.
You are going to talk about Delrin, using Delrins then?
No, I don't ever use Delrin.
Oh, okay, cool.
You
All
will talk about using
All right.
Delrin.
Yeah, I love Delrin.
I love
don't
I
ever
got
use-
about 50 of them in a bag, and I switched through them.
We have about 40 of them because you gave me 10.
Yeah.
So the first thing you want to do when you're going to make the pen, we're starting out with a piece of corn cob, obviously, and I've measured it to be about the right length. But when you try to drill this, obviously you'd like the hole to match where the pith is. So the first thing you're trying to accomplish is to get the corn cob to go into your chuck straight. Now the corn cob will go into your chuck straight if the corn cob is already set up to be straight. For example, like this one. This one. As you can see, this has been turned down. So we're going to go through briefly how we go about turning that down so that we get everything centered. You start with just a regular center, and you put it in the center of the pith. And bring up your tailstock to the center of the other end. Yep, I remembered almost everything. Kind of rotate it a bit to make sure that you're actually centered. Or you could mark the center with a center finder. You lost me for a minute while we get to the point where I can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. So that's it. We're now centered. And ready to turn it. That's interesting. I get a buzz in the headset. Huh. Okay, the other thing you're going to see is that I still love a skew. So everything you're going to see me do is still going to be with a skew. That's basically what you want. You want the thing squared up. And there are teeth on this center, which is the reason I'm being very careful about how I approach that center. Ideally, I use those because the teeth are necessary to keep a good grip on it. But if you did it with a straight 60-degree center, you would have less trouble with this hitting your tool. So that's all there is to it to make it so that now we can put it into a chuck and it will be straight. So yeah, hit it. Yeah, it's over here. Okay. Well, I guess
It's right behind you.
thank you. I put it where I wouldn't lose it. See how well that worked out? I'll put it back in the same place and then I'll miss it next time too. So, okay, the chuck that I'm using is a standard chuck that I've had for years and years and years. And I got lucky and got a Powermatic lathe, which had 1.25 inches. So if you do that and you want to use all your tools that you've always had, you need an adapter. And that adapter is, we sell it after I got my Powermatic lathe and found out I needed one. They're not expensive and they're very nice. They work quite well to make all your stuff adaptable.
There's a lot of tools out there that are just built that way that you always have to have an adapter.
Is there?
Yeah.
At least
There are some chucks out there that just got a generic one and you're always using an adapter for it. I mean, there's 5 different normal sizes.
okay.
Right. Yeah, there's 33 millimeters. There's 1.25 inch. There's a significant number of I think 5 standard sizes.
Thank you. Okay, the next step is to drill it, and good. Lines up directly to the dimple that we put into it. That's what we were hoping for. The other thing I do that you don't have to do, but it sure makes life easier, I will drill it with an 8mm drill bit first, and then come back and use the 27/64, which I'm of course going to use because this is a diamond knurl, and the diamond knurl uses a 27/64. Okay, it's at 2600 RPM. Why was it slow? Okay, should be good. Oh, we have 0. What did I do? There we go. There we go. And I'm going to tighten that just a little bit more because I can see it's moving. I know where it is now. As I say, this is an 8mm bit. It doesn't make a bit of difference what size you use. But if you drill a smaller hole first, realizing that this is a 2.2 inch and I just went in 4 inches, chances are pretty good we went through it.
Do you care on the drill bit, whether it's Brad Point or
No, I don't see. I read all the time about different feelings about Brad Point. I used them from time to time.
the only time I use a Brad Point is something segmented
Okay.
where I'm trying to get something,
Make sure it doesn't
dead center
wander.
on it. Yep. But otherwise, I agree with you. A jobber bit. So you're just using a standard jobber bit.
Yeah, I use standard jobber bits for everything.
Yep, that's what I do.
Most of the time, I have a drill doctor, and I'm not bad with it. I'm nowhere near as good as some guys.
Mhm.
But if you try to drill this stuff with dull bits, you really are taking a lot of the ability to get a nice clean hole.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So basically, you want
And
to
you're
have
going to build up a lot of heat in that thing too.
That's right. That's right. And many of the things that we turn, heat is your enemy, which is good. I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit, not long, with this technique of making it round at the end, that will work extremely well for antler as well. People
Yes.
talk about, oh, I can't figure out how to drill the antler because it's curved and it's all the rest of those things. If you have antler that's not real friendly toward being drilled, if you do that same thing, mount it between centers and then just turn it down to the point where you've got a round out object, now you can put a hole in it and it isn't nearly as difficult. You turn a lot of antler, don't you, John?
Unfortunately.
Well, yep, it's slipping.
While you're doing that,
Yeah.
if anybody is interested in how I turn antler, I do have a 10 minutes to better pen making
Oh,
out
good.
there on just how I drill my antler. It's completely different than anything else. I put knocks in the holes on the front, and then I will basically do that red wrench that you.
That way I know my points in the line.
Yep. But I like this idea of double drilling.
Yes.
You take away the risk of blowout. You take away a lot of the risk.
So if I turn an unstabilized corn cob, I'll do it like that too because I'll take maybe an 8mm. It will get in the center of that because it's softer, and it will just basically remove the softness, and it keeps everything nice and straight.
The one that I find really helpful, and I hate to say this, but I have a YouTube video on this one too, is the aluminum pen.
Yeah.
I'll always do the aluminum pen by creeping up on the side that I want. So I'll start with a 7mm, and then I'll go to whatever I want to get to that final 10.5.
So there we go. We have a hole that goes all the way through, he says confidently. One hole all the way through.
Can I'd add, if you're going to do this to one that hasn't been stabilized, I'll drill my first hole and then I'll saturate the inside of that hole
Yep.
with the real thin, ultra thin CA.
Yep.
Before I drill the next size up. That way it just holds it better without cracking it or blowing it out.
Yep. And it's basically then you put your brass tube in it, and when you're done putting the brass tube in it, you have this. Obviously, I wasn't going to wait for glue to dry, so this is the same thing except the tube's already in it.
Do you have a preference on the glue? I know I like 5-minute epoxy. Do you have a preference on it?
I don't turn enough anymore to be very, very good authority on it. I have always used CA. I do not use CA anymore, strictly because there is an affinity for it to slip. Now, one of the things first, the answer is yes, I use 5-minute epoxy most of the time when I'm doing this. But I don't have an argument with anybody about any of the glues. Glue should not be your basic issue. If you have a sharp tool and you're trying to turn something on a lathe, it does not break apart because the glue is bad. It breaks apart because you don't know how to turn.
Or there's not enough glue in it.
That's right.
Yeah.
If you have enough adhesive in there that it's holding together, you shouldn't be putting stress on it.
No, and I find so the weird thing is I actually have looked into this.
Mhm.
CA doesn't have a lot of shear strength,
Right.
and it's exactly what you just said. That it will have a tendency that because it doesn't have the shear strength that it wants to slide, and that's why I use 5-minute epoxy. I
Mhm.
started with CA, and I'll tell you, I love doing 5-minute epoxy now.
Yep.
Yeah, CA is
You want this
faster.
out?
Yeah, please. We'll find the one that we got that was cleaned out. There we go. Okay, we need this one. And we need this one. Don't shit.
Oh, your adapter, yeah.
When you're putting on the next piece that goes into the Morse taper, if you have the adapter with no hole, it doesn't work nearly as well. So you probably want to take the adapter off.
Or you can use the drill and put a bigger hole.
Bigger hole in it. I'm putting it in there a little at a time. I noticed that the other day.
Did you barrel trim it?
No.
As far as brands of epoxies,
Mm-hmm.
I've never noticed a difference in one being better than the other.
don't
My
either.
local Farm and Fleet carries Loctite 5-minute epoxy. I've also used something from the paint aisle. I don't recall what the maker was, but I've never had an issue from brand to brand.
That's right.
Um,
That's right. When you're talking about CA that's out there now and epoxy that's out there now, they're all good. You know, there may be minutia of difference one from another, but they're all good enough for what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not rocket science. So
for me,
Yeah.
it's shelf life is a big thing for me.
Yes.
You know,
Well,
I
and
want
Bryce was
something-
asking about epoxies that don't smell, and I will tell you, Bryce, I just did a ton of research on it because I've been epoxying little magnets into 3D prints galore, and everybody else in the household, even though I did it in the garage, was complaining about smell. And I went looking and found some threads that said less smell. It didn't matter. I have yet to find one that is smell free with epoxy.
there are some that say they're odorless too, and they cost a lot more. So, you know, is there any advantage to them? I don't know. I've not used them, but I get a kick out of they're odorless, so they cost a lot more.
Dean, I know how to fix that. Just drill some antlers. She'll be happy to smell the epoxy.
No, thank you.
As you can see, I'm very gentle and tender with it.
Corn cob is hard. It's one of the harder things that you'll turn.
That's exactly correct. What
It's
you're dealing with is the corn cob has been stabilized, and I stabilized it. So I know this process that went into it, and it's not going to fall apart.
Yeah.
Um,
I find that when I attack it like that, and then I just use a high grit sandpaper just to smooth it all out nicely. You know, it's just, but it's hard stuff.
And Mark asked correctly, did I face it? And the answer is no. I never face anything until this stage.
Yep.
And the reason I do that is because there's less material left on it. So it will take less effort. Yeah, that would work. This would work too. And we do have this offset sanding jig.
We're also going to minimize tear up.
Yeah, the big thing is I started doing it this way many years ago when a fellow named John Underhill started selling blanks. And that was part of it. The other part of it was I knew Eagle very well. And I was fortunate, for those of you who don't know Eagle, he was a big factor in the turning community for a while, and he was a very opinionated person, let's put it that way.
He's quite the artist, though. He
Exactly.
had phenomenal blanks.
He had a lot of blanks that had a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
And he would send those blanks to me for free because he thought I could turn them. And also Metcalf, Lou Metcalf, and also Kavanaugh. The three of us were the people that he trusted to turn his stuff. Well, if you used a pen mill on it, your chances of making it fall apart were significant. And at the time, he was very well known as a master artist. I sure didn't want to be very well known as the guy that screwed up all his blanks. Now, it wasn't 100% fair because the other guy that was turning it, Kavanaugh, was a dentist. And so when he had a piece fly across the room, he found it and got his dental pick and put it back into. I don't have dental picks.
I couldn't find it on my shelf.
So essentially what it came down to was I started looking for ways that were less destructive when you're trying to face the product. And that's how I ended up doing it on the lathe with this faceplate. Mine is an extremely expensive piece, so I understand not everybody will have one. But this is a 1-inch nut that you can get at Farm and Fleet if you happen to live in farming country. This is plywood, 3/4 inch. And that is my setup. This, on the other hand, is a piece that is made for us. It's an offset sanding jig, essentially. If any of you are on IAP, you know Rick Carroll, and yes, this is Rick Carroll's piece. But this now, the other thing I should talk about a bit. If you're using this is a punch, like all punches. But it's supposed to be the size that fits inside this hole. I'm lazy. I don't ever change it. And so how can I make sure that everything is square? Once I lock that down, this is square to this. This is square to that when it's locked down. There's slop here. So yes, I am allowing myself the opportunity to not be square. How do I get around that? I keep consistent pressure on that against that rod. Now when I turn it like this, it is going to be 90 degrees. So I am getting a flat surface on here. It's not immediately apparent. When you think about it, you'll realize, yeah, you're right. That then has to be flat. Some of the things that you see that people have decided. I saw one the other day on IEP. It's a beautiful jig he put together. My God, it's gorgeous. But what he's using as a reference is the outside of his blank. So he may not be square to the tube. And what you're really trying to do here is be square to the tube because you want that end to be square to the parts that you're going to mate it to. So understand that it is important that you keep that square. Now this, I have these cut very close. I didn't want to take a lot of time on camera, so oh, thanks. You can see maybe that is now shining brass. I've touched the brass with the sandpaper. On this side, I've got about a 1/16 of an inch. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say for those watching at home, always comes up in any kind of demo. What speed are you turning at? What's the grid on that sandpaper?
Thank you. I'm turning at about 600. That's a comfortable speed for me. So yes, when I do this, I try to be right around 600, 700. And the grid on there is not terribly important. This particular one is 120.
Yep.
But it isn't terribly important. You can do 120 and it'll happen pretty fast, or you can do 320 and it'll happen a whole lot slower. But anything you use is going to take it off at all a matter of time. The other thing is, as you've done this for a while, not so much when I have these things in my ear for being able to hear Dean, but generally I can hear it as soon as it touches the brass.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be one of those things where, well, you know, I kept on going. No, you'll know it. And sometimes you can feel it too. This, as I say, this didn't have much, and I think I just touched it. We'll see.
And I love the fact that you're rotating
Nope.
it.
Well, it's,
Yeah, it's great.
everything is rotating.
Yep.
So it has to be square. I mean, that's the thing. You're taking it off, but it has to end up being square to the tube.
Yep.
Sometimes we forget what we're trying to achieve. Wow. I've got another here.
It's hard stuff.
Yeah, this is hard stuff. Now we got it. Yep.
It's a,
Okay. The other thing that you could do if you're concerned about it, I don't want to do it right now because I don't want to take the time to do it. But essentially, if you took your exceptionally thin CA and went around that outside, you would reinforce that section of it. So as you're turning it, you're less likely to blow it out. As I say, I know that this has been heavily stabilized, and I've done several of them, and I've never blown one out. But about the time I say that, it'll happen tonight. But that's the way that you can do it, and then you wait for it to dry a little bit, which is 4 or 5 minutes. I just don't want to kill 4 or 5 minutes here. So that's the suggestion that you're not going to see done. You're tightening that on me, aren't you? I don't ever tighten that. So I don't know how to turn with it tight.
You weren't dead center, right? You were just off to the right of center on that off center jig.
Off center, yeah.
Yeah,
The thing with the off center jig is that it allows you to use a lot more sandpaper.
Yep.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
because you can move it around.
That's right. You're moving it. I'm starting at this location, then after that's worn out on the sandpaper, you move it to here.
Sure.
And then if you want to, you can take the whole thing out and go right in the center.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice add-on,
Mhm.
and it gives you more mileage out of your sandpaper. Okay, so where did I put the dead center? Did I put it up there
Nope, behind you maybe.
behind me? Sure enough. I'll get it. Okay, so now all you're going to have to do is turn it to size. Yeah. One of the things that happens when you do put CA on your products after the fact, I use just the 60-degree centers. And it's not hard to clean the CA off of the 60-degree centers, but when it gets on there like that, if you have not cleaned it off, you may get it right underneath the bushing, and the bushing will wobble, which is what just happened. So when that happens, you realize you should have cleaned it off, but if you didn't, as long as both bushings are moving smoothly, you're square. Watch me mug. I can hit his camera. Okay, so the only thing we need to do now is make it into a pen.
Hey Ed, before you finish, can you call it off?
Sure.
Okay. Before you finish the other side, I'm gonna guess the majority of the people out there are not skew savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give us a quick idea of how you have that skew on the tool rest and your orientation
Sure.
and the way you like to cut
Sure.
things?
I honestly don't know most of the time what I'm doing. I can tell you that when you put it on, when you start cutting with a skew, it's a very simple edge. So if you're cutting and it's working, you're doing it right. If you're cutting and it's not working, change it. So typically what I will find is that somewhere in the middle quarter of an inch of your skew blade, this is a 3/4 inch skew. And also people ask me all the time, well, used to ask me all the time, well, what is that angle? What's the angle from there to there? I don't know. You know, this one's got that angle. The other one's got a square angle. One of them's got an angle that's like this. What difference does it make? It's essentially, you're just trying to find the sharp part and make it turn. And there's a lot of sharp on here. So essentially, as long as you're comfortable with it, that's really all that matters.
And is that a straight skew or the circular skew?
Oh, this is an oval skew.
Yeah.
I like the oval skews better than the straight. The straight, again, this is a flat tool rest, which Mark is going to tell you all about because he does stuff with carbide tools, and that's essentially what this is built for carbide tools. The only reason that I'm using it tonight is because I want him to talk to you about how it should be used with carbide tools, and I want to show that if you take a standard skew and turn normally, you don't have to get rid of this to do that. This is fine and dandy for being able to turn it. You're going to be resting on some part of it, and where you rest is kind of up to you. Now, I turn just a little above center, and that's a comfortable spot for me. But there's nothing that says that you have to turn there. You know, part of the problem that I have with all the stuff that I read and watch, you have to do it this way. No, you don't. You don't have to do it anyway. Do it any way that's comfortable to you, where you get, as long as you're getting the sharp part of your tool against the part that has to be cut, you're doing what you have to do. So I don't see this as a science. I see it more as a sport.
Sure. I do a lot with a skew too, and I usually just start high on the blank
Mm-hmm.
and then come down onto it. And once it starts to cut, I hit that sweet spot, I just ride it out.
Yeah. If you're cutting, what difference does it make if somebody else likes the way you're doing it?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's basically, now this is a little high right now. But rather than stop and change and all the rest of that, when we're trying to show how we can turn, I don't see a need for me to be tremendously precise for you. It's easy.
I will tell you, the nice thing about that kind of tool rest or any of the tool rests are, especially with a skew, you're not going to have to worry about a nick in your tool rest with some of the other, of the manufacturers' tool rests that come out, and you're on that little skin thin blade and you nick it.
Yep.
that nick is gonna be, you're gonna see it in everything that you turn until you correct that nick in there. So
Well, and that nick,
I like that for
that
this.
nick, if you're using a square skew, is a real issue.
Yeah.
That's why I switched to oval, because I was real good at nicking my.
Yeah,
I
we
was
all
a
are.
master at that. So I had a real bent up piece down there, and with a regular chop 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 chop. So
The
with
only
this,
reason I ask is
Yeah.
most pen makers are probably not as familiar with the oval skew. I wanted you to kind of go over
Okay,
it, and
sure.
I thank you for it.
sure, no problem.
Well,
Did
and
I
the other-
answer it sufficiently?
The other nice thing is you're using a 3-inch pence or
Right.
tool rest, which
Right.
is great because it allows you to get up closer in between them live
That's right.
and tailstock.
That's right.
And anything longer, that a lot of these things come with stock. If you use something too big, you can't get close enough.
That's right.
So
And that's another interesting point that we might talk about a bit. When you're working on turn between center, I fought turn between center for several years. I was not going to do it. I had a pro, what they called a pro mandrel, which meant that it was about 5 inches long and easily adaptable and so forth and so on. So I could put my one blank here and my other blank here, and I turned all two pens at that time. They didn't have anything else. So basically, it was very simple to get a pen done. But when they came out with the turn between centers, you're limited to one blank at a time, one half of your pen at a time. Now, at the same time, an awful lot of pens turned into single tube pens, so it worked out well. But the idea of being able to do just one at a time and having to make them match was something that took me a while to get used to. But now I turn almost all Sierras anyway, Sierra style. And it's so much easier when it's between centers because you don't have any bow. You don't have to worry about
Yep.
your mandrel
you're
being
not flexing
slightly
that
bent.
rod.
Yeah,
Yep.
the rod is not going to argue with
And
you.
there's several different turn between center options out there. So.
Yes. And
So I'm going to take one quick interrupt on here because I love the one comment that
okay.
Harold points out that there's a lot of information about out there, and people almost get paralysis, if you will, waiting to hear everybody's thing on how to do it the exact right way. And I agree with Harold in the way that we do it. Is it's more of the, and I say this in my demos and stuff like that, the Michael Jordan love of the game. If you're out here and you're doing it and you love what you're doing it, the more that you do it, you're going to refine it to the technique that you're most comfortable with.
That's
Right.
And the love of the game thing, that's so much more important. I love teaching kids.
Mhm.
If I can take one interruption here,
Mhm.
I love teaching kids because I explain it to them and they go, get out of my way, take the tool in their hand, and they want to cut. When you're with an adult, they're going, is this the right way? Is this the right way?
Yep.
It's so much different than just do it and try it. And if you're enjoying it, as long as it's safe, and
Exactly.
one of the techniques that we always show is safety,
Mhm.
as long as it's safe, learn to love it. And the more that you love it, you're going to find the technique that works for you. So thanks, Harold, for I don't know if that's what you were getting at but I think that's the nice thing about working with these two on here is there's 3 completely different ways that we all do everything,
Mhm.
but it's more or less, it's because we love doing what we're doing.
I mean, Ed and I've said for years that
Mark is always wrong.
we do three different techniques, especially with our CA finish. And Ed and I do it the right way, you do it the wrong way, and it still works out for you. So
Yeah,
Okay.
I knew it was coming. I couldn't stop.
You knew where it was headed. The other thing people ask me often, particularly when I used to do a lot of YouTubes, they often ask about, well, how come your stuff only takes 2 or 3 minutes or 4 minutes to turn? And for me, it takes 15, 20. I don't admire my work. I turn, and once it's finished, you look at it and say, yep, pretty good. But more guys take more time admiring the last cut they made. What's the difference? Worry about the next cut. Don't worry about the last cut, and you'll get things done a lot faster. When you get noises like that, you're getting a little vibration. And it isn't a bad idea to tighten your tailstock a bit. One of the things John helped me, he moves this thing to tighten down the tail. I never touch this. Again, I realize that's wrong, but I never touch it. I turn this the way it's supposed to be and the way that I'm comfortable with. And then when it starts to loosen up, I tighten it up a little bit. So, yeah, I do a lot of things that are wrong, but I've made a lot of pens and some of them turned out. And that is exactly what I like pen to look like. For the Sierra style or any of my styles or whatever, I like a little bit of a bulge in the middle
A little taper.
because
Yeah.
the taper on this roughly will match the taper on the nib of that pen. If you look at a Sierra pen and you see that it comes down at an angle, I want this to go up at approximately that same angle. I want it to be a little thicker at the center because when they grab the pen, I want them to be able to put it in here and it should lock into the section between your thumb and your forefinger. So I want that a little bit thicker. Is this something you necessarily have to do? No, do it your way. I don't care. And neither should anybody else. Make the pen that you like. The pen that I like looks like this. And I will tell you that I sold an awful lot of them. So it is comfortable for many pen handlers. If you're working with the junior, I can't read it from here.
It says, Pemmy says, the comment is, I'm wrong, but I don't care. Ed 2025.
That's fine. That's fine. You read it on the internet. It has to be right. So yeah, basically that's the way that I make the pen. Most important way that you make the pen is up to you. So what's the next step after this? Sand it. Up till now, I've been running approximately the top speed of the lathe, which in this case is about 3,700 and some odd RPM. When you get into sanding, stay around 1,000 RPM or even a little less if you can, but I'm not patient. So,
You know what? There's times I'll run anywhere from 12 to 14.
okay.
You know, it just depends on what the material is.
Yep.
And how much I really want to move. Sometimes I just want to lightly sand it, so I'll turn it up a little higher.
Well, and as you pointed out correctly, this is hard.
Yeah.
This is a hard surface. So if you put it at a real high RPM, you're only going to burn it. You're not going to sand it.
Yep.
So,
And it is.
Just a heads up, guys. It is 7
Sandpaper,
o'clock.
not
So just giving you a
sandpaper.
time check.
thank you.
There was a few comments about the tools, turning tools, and someone had commented that they like a gouge. I've always looked at wood turning a lot like golf. We've got
Mhm.
all these tools in our tool bag, and I think you should use all of them at one time or another just to get the feel for them, to see what they're good for, and go from there. When I first started, I was using a small spindle gouge and turning everything, and then I switched to a skew, and I think it just helped me become a little more proficient in using a gouge at that time.
Mhm.
And you know, my golf, my game of golf never improved because you know, I spent more time turning than golfing. But
And much like you said, I'm complete opposite. I now only use carbide tools.
do you? Yeah.
I'm 99% carbide tools. When
Well,
I'm doing it.
and then it works for you. So
That's all there is to it. That is now, we can continue and go into CA finish and staining and so forth. Dean points out at 7 o'clock, which is absolutely correct. You want me to spend 10 minutes doing?
I think you should. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Alright.
I think it makes it.
Okay.
It's something cool.
Okay.
It makes it a differentiator.
Okay. Well, what we actually I should have gloves, but I don't. So the heck with it. I will have purple hands at the end of this. I can tell you, I tried it the last night with red, and and I had red hands at the end of it. But
I turn better than I play golf. Me too. I don't lose any golf balls when I'm turning. So
well, golf was an expensive hobby for me.
too expensive.
Oh no! You know what the biggest problem with golf is? You have to have 3 friends to go do it, and I don't have.
Jeez.
I don't have any friends, so I can't go golfing, or else I'm by myself.
Meet some interesting people on the golf course. Find that party of 3 females.
What are you using?
Okay.
Purple trans tint.
Yeah, I'm using purple
Before you
trans.
do that, do you ever put a piece of paper towel?
I always do.
I always do.
Yeah.
You should. That's absolutely right.
I also switched to Delrin bushings right before this.
Yep, I do that too.
Thank you. Well, it won't really matter because I'm not going to put anything on with CA, but that
Right.
is a very good point. I don't.
You don't use Delrin.
I'm.
I-
I'm the keeper of the store, and I don't have a set of Delrin.
I love
bushes.
Delrin, and what's nice about them, I keep a little pharmaceutical bottle of old. You know, when I run them dry, I put acetone in them, and when there's a glue buildup on the Delrin, I just throw them in that little pill bottle and let them
Mhm.
soak for a day, and use a new pair.
Which is exactly
I
what
had
you
a
can
great
do with
thing
this.
right off.
People, if you're
Wow, okay.
concerned about
Good thing I
the
drove.
CA getting
I
on
heard
these the hard the any rate. When we get CA on these 2 pieces,
The
you can-
centers.
yeah, dead center and live center. Thank you. It was a real tough word.
There you go.
But when you get CA on those, you can just throw them in acetone. Now, the one that has bearings in it, don't let the bearings get full of acetone. But this is all there is to it. And again, as I said starting out, this is diluted. And as you can see, it goes on and it just gets a little bit of a coating on there.
The nice thing about being diluted is you can still see through it.
Right.
Well, and you can control how much you put on. You can always put more.
Yeah, it's not going to
more
get
of the
dark
purple.
right away.
But man, if you take it directly out of those bottles,
Yeah.
it is dark.
Especially, as you said, the purples.
Yep.
The yellow you can kind of get away with. You can almost get away with the orange,
Mm-hmm.
but the darker tones, the blues and stuff like that.
What do you use? Denatured alcohol to.
Yeah, I used denatured alcohol for this one because I asked you what to use.
That's what I've used denatured alcohol with all sorts of colorants over the years that have worked, but the trans tints are by far my favorite. You
Yeah.
know, they work great. But I've used inks, I've used food coloring, you name it.
I use all the trans tints on platters and stuff too.
Yeah,
And as you can see, what we end up with is a moderate purple, and it also it shows off the places where they were corn pieces.
yeah.
Corn-
You know where the kernels are. It's always going to
Thank
stay
you.
that hard yellowish white,
Yep.
so
Yep.
it gives it a contrast.
So it gives it an interesting look.
And if it's okay, one thing to note at this point, and you're probably going to go on this one, is it gives the when you're doing it here, don't be afraid that it's a little lighter than you think,
Mhm.
because the CA is going to kick it up a notch.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's true.
I always had the local farmers in my area always wanted them John Deere green. So
And the other nice thing that you can do is you can do a transition on these things too.
yeah,
You can do purple on the ends, yellow in the middle,
Mhm.
Well,
little.
you can lightly sand over them
vignette.
too if you
Yep.
want to open up more of the natural color and.
The other, lightly sand over it, and then the other thing that you can do that comes out, and this is what I do on platters all the time, is then I'll just take a little bit of a dot,
Yeah.
and I'll put it in random spots,
Mhm.
and then let the paper towel be the blend on it.
Well, that's really all there is to it. Now, what I did for the red one, I let it dry for like 5-10 minutes, and then came back and put another couple of coats on it and let it dry for 5 or 10 minutes and sanded it just a little bit, probably 400 or 600 grit, just to kind of clean it off a bit. And then, as Mark says, once you start putting a CA coating over the top of it, color pops. So you're going to get much more color to it. And again, I think that the ability to play with Transtint will give you just tons and tons of things that you can do. If you wanted it darker than this, that's not hard. If you wanted to double dye it, that's not hard. A lot of the things that we're trying to do with stabilizing, where we double dye and try to triple dye and all the rest of that stuff, you don't know what it looks like when you're finished. When you've made the blank, when I've made the blank, which is why we don't sell double dye and triple dye, I have no idea what the inside of that looks like. I can see what the outside looks like, but that tells me nothing about what your pen is going to look like.
Sure.
Now, when you do this way and you have it down to the point that this is the pen that you're going to have, now if you start to put coloration into it, you know exactly what it's going to look like. And you still have some control. You look at this and you say, I don't like that at all. All right, take some sandpaper and get it down.
You know,
So-
another thing to just
Yeah.
tell you, and when, as you're talking about these dyes and stuff like that, one of the things that I've always challenged people on
Mhm.
is, even if you're not doing it on the corn cob, I love the idea of doing it on the corn cob. Take a 25-cent piece of maple that you
Yep.
get at Home
Yep.
Depot,
Yep.
turn it down, and people will go, well, it's a maple pen.
Yep.
But if you want to learn technique,
Yep.
turn a 25-cent piece of maple and then play with some of the trans tints.
Yep.
You
Mhm.
will get things that nobody else has, that nobody else is selling. You know, I saw some of the people here on on comments and stuff like that. If you've got a sports team, trans tint
Yep.
your sports teams into that,
Yep.
trans tint any of that kind of stuff into it.
You have to
Trans
test
tint
those
is different.
colors because you're
Yep.
going to have to custom mix a lot of that. If you
Yep.
want a lighter green, you're going to have to mix a little bit of yellow and green together to tone it down, or maybe a more vibrant orange.
Well,
You know, you've got to mix.
the nice thing about trans tints, and it's going to talk about it, especially what they do there. If you want to take a piece of maple, don't round it to the bushing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Round it
Yeah,
off.
leave it up. Leave it
Try
up.
your coloring on it. Cut it off.
Yeah.
Round it off. Sand it off. Try your coloring on it. Sand it off. You can do that probably as many as 6-7 times
Mhm.
on a piece of maple before you commit to it. And it's wild what the trans tints can do to other kind of pen blanks. I will tell you, spalted tamarind, it's beautiful in its own. It is beautiful on its own. Put a little bit of a nice light yellow on it, and you will not believe how that pops the color of that spalting.
Mhm.
So I love that you're going with trans tints on here, Ed. I think it's a great technique.
I think it's fun. And as you say, we do what we enjoy.
Yeah.
And so essentially, if you are happy with the pen, any pen, when you look at it, okay, I'm done with it. I'm ready to put it together, make it into a pen. Fine. And that's your piece of art. One of the things that people come to shows looking for artists. So, as you develop in turning, the turning section of it becomes automatic. I haven't ever done it, but I thoroughly believe I could put a blindfold on and turn a pen because I just feel where the tool is.
Oh, and
But-
the other nice thing is, I will know that because people ask, and it actually happened to me 2 weeks ago, where someone who has gone to the MPG, has heard me talk, was at a booth 5 down selling pens.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of it was, because I do things that are different than the way that he does it.
Mhm.
He uses his creative mind. I use my creative mind. I could actually tell people that if they want, I don't do as much in wood as you guys do.
Mhm.
I could actually tell them, if you like wood and some of the things that you can do, go down and see that gentleman.
Right.
He's
That's right.
down there, and it's hard to believe that we both have, I have 600 pens when I'm doing a show,
Mhm.
that we still have things that are different. We did.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
because it's kind of fun to do this creative stuff. So I love the fact that you're throwing trans tint into this mix, because now you have something that nobody else has.
Betty, Mark can talk to that, I'm sure. Blue Boost Master Tint in amber for cobs.
Oh yeah. So when I was talking about
Yeah.
so Betty, yeah, I do a lot with the Glue Boost color line on it. I hate to say this, if you are looking for it, go on my YouTube channel, and I've got 2 or 3 videos where I talk about just coloring blanks. One of it is using Glue Boost. I also have one on there where I use trans tint,
Mhm.
and I do a trans tint finish on it.
Mhm.
So I'm not trying to sway it from this, But Ed, you've always said it's okay to talk about the
Oh, sure.
10 minutes to better pen making series. So yes, Betty, I do it a lot with the Master Tint, and I do it a lot with Trans Tint. And if you go on my website and go to 10 minutes to better pen making coloring, you'll see both of them. But it works great for the amber on the cobs too.
Dean, I can see you. I suspect you have something you'd like to get into.
Yeah, what I wanted
So
to
wait,
just say is,
there is a question on here that Christopher brings up.
Let him go first.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I was just going to interrupt again and basically be the smart aleck and go, guys,
I'm
more
sorry.
show, less tell.
Okay. Yeah, as far as the blind turners are concerned, yes, there is a guy who went to the MPG, who demonstrated at the MPG 2 years ago.
From Utah,
Uh,
phenomenal turner.
and he is blind, and it was something to watch, just really something to watch. So at any rate, to conclude what I have to say, I'm concluding what I have to say. We'll let John move on because there's some really interesting things that John's been doing, and let's look at some of the things that are holiday related and things that he has devised that are fun to watch. So get this out of the way.
So while we're transitioning, if we could have somebody show one of the first packages of giveaway stuff, and I will start a drawing for it.
Yeah, we'll slide it back this
Do
way.
we have the packages of giveaway stuff?
I don't know if she brought it in.
No, I don't think we have it, Dean. I think it's it with Dawn.
Oh, really? I thought it was a John mystery something. Okay, it's okay.
It's a bunch of
Treat Mr. Box.
several turning blanks, and
Yeah, I don't know what else she was
Halloween
adding to it.
colors.
She says they're mystery boxes, so I guess we won't
Oh,
show them.
it's-
We'll just
It's a mystery. Which
it's
you
a
stay
mystery
there?
box. So I will put the thing on the screen and we'll start drawing while you guys get set up.
I see Chuck is on the call before that. Nice to see you, Chuck. Long time no see. Hopefully we'll see you at the MPG again this year.
Just move this over here, and that way I can use this spot right here for any close-ups. All right, so in pure Halloween fashion, Ed had asked me, him and Dawn said, hey, what do you do that's related to Halloween? So I took that as a challenge because it was, 4 days ago?
Oh, all the time in the world.
Yeah. So it was fun. And if nothing else, it just goes to show you can put something together and have fun with it. And so I chose bottle stoppers. And when we talk about bottle stoppers, we have a few options. These are a couple. Obviously, the standard bottle stopper with the screw-in bottom. And this is one I made out of Spectraply. Let me see, where are we at? There we go. This is one out of Spectraply, which is fun because, you can do all sorts of colors, and they're great for sports teams, holiday themed, whatever. And this one was actually made by Dick Singh, but the neat thing about it is it goes over the bottle, and so it fits a little better in the refrigerator. And these set more on top and are a little harder to have room for, but I brought this one along to just show you options, and I love the inlay, and I actually took this as an idea. So I'll show you the other one before I actually get too entailed in it. So I don't like this one at all. I actually had this scrap piece of resin left over, and I wanted to make a stopper out of it. And my thought was to leave it a little more pronounced as it come up and out, and then had a dome top, and then I wanted to do an inlay, and so I did an inlay of a spider web. It's just a 3D printed spider web on top, and it was embedded in clear resin. But it was poorly executed, but I ran out of time and couldn't make another one. So it is what it is, and it was a learning experience. But I really liked the orange and black. It was some leftover resin from a clear cast that I colored up and poured in a small container and was able to make bottle stoppers.
I'll tell you, more people than not, the ability to come through as a demonstrator and talk about what you've done and some of the kids,
I can tell you all sorts of things that I've messed up.
It's always easy to tell people how to do it, but then when you can tell them what you've done wrong, they're going to associate with that.
Sure. Well, then the nice thing about it is most of my bottle stoppers like this, and this was just some Halloween colors, it's just leftover resin. I'm either going to throw it in the garbage or I'm going to pour it in a mold. And so in this case, what I like to do, I always do my handle molds. My handles and my bottle stoppers I always use in the 1.5" casting rack, which is great because all I do is fill my molds, and basically everything gets dropped in the rack, and as I need them, I'm pouring them in there, and then I just set this in a spare tank. What I wanted to share.
Everybody has a spare tank, don't they?
Well,
You've all got at least 6
well,
or 7
and
tanks.
the handle blanks are the same way, right? I make all my handle casts in the 1.5 inch tubes because they're clear tubes. I can cut them to the length I need, or I pour something tall and I cut it in half and get 2 bottle stoppers out of it. But my point with all of that was I wanted to walk you through my trials, and some were successful and some were not. So I'm going to start it out basically with what my idea was. I wanted to suspend a skull in resin. So I started out, I was going to use a small piece of SpectraPly, and I had epoxied my skull to it. I put it in the oven, not long enough, as you can see. It foamed up because the wood had gathered moisture from the humidity, and so this was a complete failure. But what that told me was, don't use the wood for the base. So,
Greg,
okay,
jump that in there real quick. That's what the mystery box will look like.
this is the mystery box. Yeah.
You can see Don worked hard on that one.
And yes,
John Rich Wingo.
well, congratulations, John. I will pass it over to Mark.
You should have done 3D.
Yeah. So that didn't work for me. So my next thought was, I want to suspend the skull rather than have it glued to something. I want to have something all the way around it. And then I realized that they float. So it didn't matter how many precautions I took to make sure that this was where I wanted it. Things float in resin. So, but as you can see, this is basically the base system that I use. I should have pried that loose before, but they're all reusable. So I use a top cap because it just helps keep the shape around that tube when it's in the rack. In the bottom tube, the bottom plug is solid, and it comes off with a pair of pliers when I'm done, and I reuse them again over and over again. But again, these are things we have to take into consideration. Things are going to float. Moisture is going to be a problem. So this is what I came up with. I took this here. I took some drinking straws, plastic drinking straws, and I stuck them in some clay. I went to Walmart, bought a block of clay, put it in the bottom of a cup, and I basically stuck the straws in the cup, in the straw. So that way the straw had maybe a 1/4 inch of clay in them. And then I basically just topped them all off with clear resin, put them in the pressure pot, scored the edge of the straw and peeled these out. So now I have these transparent acrylic rods. Well, in this case, it was a skull that I used. So I drilled a small hole in the bottom of the skull, and I basically pushed the rod in it. So that way it's nice and secure, and it's straight. It's just how I want to, the orientation and everything. And then what I did, I basically had a mold of clear cast, leftover resin, and I cut off a few discs on the bandsaw, sanded them down, made them a little bit smaller. That way it'll go back inside the mold and fit basically between the bottom cap. But I used some 2-part epoxy, and then I glued that on to that base. And this is basically what I get. So after it's all done, I've got the skull suspended on a clear rod it's basically clear resin, but it doesn't look clear because it's been sanded. The nice thing about this is I left the skull high enough that after it's cast, I'm going to cut the bottom off somewhere up here. That way, you're not going to see this bottom piece. Plus, it's going to give me more of these little discs to use for the next project. And basically, what I do then is take some hot glue. Set this over here. I can get it later, it's no big deal.
Oh, okay.
I took some hot glue and I put a couple drops in the bottom here, and then I just smashed that on the hot glue, and I held it there nice and tight for about a minute. And after it was done, I tubed it up, got that all ready. I put it in my casting rack, and then I set this basically in the pressure pot with a shop clamp light over top, and I'm using an incandescent light bulb so that it generates some heat and it warms everything up to burn off any humidity. And then I mix up my resin, and it really comes down to what you're going to do. And I had a few options here. So I did the first one clear, and basically the rod disappears within the resin, so now it looks suspended. And I like that idea, but the problem is,
Can you put that one closer to the camera? Yeah, there you go. So you can really see. You
Yeah.
really cannot see.
We're here.
I mean,
and we've looked at it. You
I-
cannot see it.
you can see a different reflection in there at certain angles, but the problem is clear resin will turn kind of an amber, dingy color after a year or less. And so I didn't want it to look aged and old. So I decided to add a little bit of colorant to them. So I went with purple and orange. And basically, this is the same principle, only I used a resin cutoff. And I basically epoxied that rod in the center of that resin cutoff. So now I have suspended purple and suspended orange.
So real quickly, the comments, in case you can't see them, are basically great. Now I can't sleep for a week. I've got a whole bunch of ideas running through my head
Well, that's
for
just
how I'm going to take this idea and run with it.
think about this. You know, you've got all the holidays coming up, Christmas, Valentine's Day, whatever. If you live in an area where there's a lot of wine fests like I do, bottle stoppers are huge. You can have just about anything you want suspended in there, and people, anything to associate with a theme, a hobby. The nice thing is, if you cast them solid like this, then you take them to your table saw with your miter gauge, and you cut them nice and flat, and you can epoxy them. And I used a 5-minute epoxy to put basically a scrap piece of acrylic, and I'm using a B insert on the bottom, which is just the threads, but it allows you to get that off the bottom, so whatever you're doing is suspended. So I didn't turn these because they were clear, and I only had time to turn one, so I went with the purple. And basically, this is what the end result. It's on some scrap green and purple resin, and it's basically just a little bit of the smallest glitter I could find that I sprinkled in there so it would stay nice and suspended, and it's just a tint of purple in there to go with the Halloween theme. So, and I imagine skulls would be great. You could do them with red or orange or, you know, whatever. Skulls are they're kind of a theme thing for a lot of people. So, and then when you really get going, if you want, you can do them larger. And this is a 3-inch cylinder. And I cast this for Ed, so now he gets to turn a nice little crystal ball out of it, and it'll be basically the skull.
But as you're turning it, you cannot see that stem in there at all.
No, and you know the nice thing about the resin is the head. Let me show you the size here. Whew, almost dropped that one too. I drop a lot of stuff. It may not look like it, but they're the same size. Resin will magnify whatever's in it. So when you look down the top, you'll see how small that really is. But when you look in the front, it just looks so much bigger because resin magnifies it. So as you turn this round, it will actually get larger within that resin. So yeah, this, you know, they're just fun little projects. Talk about the B inserts real quick and the mandrels. So this is what we talk about with the B inserts. Now, I think a lot of people that use these probably take a 1/2-inch drill bit, and all you do is measure on your drill bit how deep you want to drill and put them in. I'll use the 12.5, which is the same as the upper barrel of a junior pen, or the rollerball diamond knurl, and it's a 12.5. It's a little tight, so what I always do, I will thread this onto my mandrel, and you got a couple options, but I bottom it out so it goes down until it touches, because that's where you want it to be. You've got one that screws over your threads, your spindle threads, or you've got the Morse taper that goes in the lathe. It's just a matter of whatever you want to use. I've got both depending on which lathe I'm using. And so what I'll do, I'll put some epoxy in my drilled hole, and I'll put some 5-minute epoxy on this, on the knurl of this, and I'll put it over the hole, and I will basically push it in as far as I can, and then I'll come up here and I'll tap the top of this with a ball peen hammer just to bottom it out. And when this sits flat on the top of my resin, I know I'm in deep. I let it sit for a few minutes and then basically just unthread it, and it leaves that B insert in the resin or wood, whatever you're turning, where you need it. And then I don't touch it for a day. I let it sit overnight, and I won't turn it until the next day. That way, that 5-minute epoxy has plenty of time to cure fully, and you're not gonna weaken that bond by turning it too soon.
So I think nobody's going to be sleeping for the next couple of days. I see winery logos, little Christmas trees, wreaths. This is endless.
And
Coins.
you can go to Michael's and buy a
Oh,
lot
geez.
of that stuff that's just the right size for this.
If you've got a Hobby Lobby in your area, Michael's, Joanne Crafts now, used to be Joanne Fabric, but think about it. I mean, even theme stuff, golf ball markers for
Yes,
the greens,
I do
that
that
is
a lot.
huge.
Mhm.
Pez dispensers, tops off Pez dispensers. It's really endless. And Mark and I always talk about this stuff, and on our way home, we're usually discussing all these ideas and coming up with different topics and whatnot. And we're always texting ourselves so that we remember what we talked about, because we never bring a pen to write anything down. But it's
Well,
just
it's hard driving 80 miles an hour to write stuff down.
depends on who's driving, I guess. But
You.
it really is an endless opportunity. You know, there's so much out there that you can incorporate into your wood turnings, and resin allows us to do that. So that's just some ideas for the holidays or upcoming.
If they were around in April, where might they be able to get a better look at some of those things?
Yeah, come to the MPG. You can lay hands on it, and maybe we'll have a few different ideas by then. So, and if you come up with something cool, bring it out. We'd love to see it. So,
One question, John.
yes,
You referred to that post as acrylic, and then you said that you poured it. So I understand what you really meant. It's a resin.
it is a
My
resin.
reason for asking, if you actually went and bought acrylic rod, which is available, clear acrylic rod,
Mm-hmm.
you think that it would also turn invisible in resin, or you think
Well-
a resin on resin is required?
So here's the problem you're going to run into. If you buy a clear rod somewhere and you want to cast against it, do a test pour before you invest all your time constructing it, because resins don't always adhere seamlessly to some of these things. And depending on what kind of plastic or acrylic that it is, it may not bond at all.
Yeah.
The nice thing about these urethane resins like Clear and Clear Slow from Alumilite, the urethane resins, they're really not made to bond to each other. So I would never do a pour where there may be some integrity issues where it might break free, but this is completely submerged inside. There's never going to be any strength issues because it's not going to be put to the test. It's completely encased. So you can get away with that. There's not going to be any torque on it to break it free or move it. But if it were a pen blank in length and half of it was poured one day and the other half the next, you would have a weak spot that you could probably break that. So,
No, and I agree with you. And chemicals matter.
oh yeah,
So if
absolutely.
you're doing Alumilite to Alumilite, you're pretty much going to be fine. So I agree with you at 100% on the question.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that you're doing Alumilite to Alumilite, and you're just cutting that.
I think it was last year I did a Christmas tree with a snow scene around it.
Yes.
And what I'd done, I'd taken a natural burl. I should have brought it, but it turned a little amber on me, which is why I was disappointed in it. And unfortunately, all of the resins we use, I don't care what they say, eventually they're going to turn on you. They're going to turn a dingy amber.
Exactly.
Epoxies are more prone to do it sooner than urethanes, but they all do it. One of the best products I've ever used is Alumilite Deep Pour Epoxy. And honestly, I poured it 2 years ago, and you see very little change in it.
Okay.
So it's, when I talk about UV qualities, that's the best one I found. I like to cast different resins in clear rods and then date and label them so that I know what they are and when I poured them, and then pull them out. And I've had this stuff for 2 years now, and it's still really good. So
Because I do pepper mills, and Ed knows this more than anybody because I get it from him. Because I do pepper mills, deep pour is pretty much what I do for everything. And while I am not a production maker at all on my pen blanks, even if I'm doing a pen blank, I'm still doing it with the deep pour
sure,
because I don't want to have that many different chemicals sitting around the house.
if you're going to pour anything larger than 1.5 inches in depth and in diameter, you really want to use Clear Slow anyhow, or a deep pour resin.
Sorry,
Because
clear slow. I mean,
yes,
sorry, I use clear
I
slow.
love urethane resin. I'm not an epoxy fan, but it has its purposes, so I use it once in a while. I like the urethanes because They set quick. There's a distinct working time, and it just works for me. So clear slow is great because it clears slower, so it's not going to crack. If you use a resin that cures too quickly and it's deep, it's going to crack, and that may be a problem when you're pouring bottle stoppers and handles.
And you see little
So-
pockets of air in there and stuff as you're turning them out. So I like clear slow.
So the tubes that I'm using, Ed actually sells here at Exotic Blanks, and it's the 1.5-inch casting. Dean will link it shortly for you. But they've got the tubes, they've got the racks, everything that you need. They come with the caps, and then you can buy extra supplies with them as you need them and use them. And the tubes, they're great because I like to have just 2 or 3 cut on hand. So when I'm doing a specific color or clear cast pour, and I've got a little extra resin in the bottom of the mixing cup, I put this in the pressure pot, tighten it up, pressure it, set it aside, and then with the resin I have left, I divide it, throw some color in it, and I'll pour it in these molds, and that's where I come up with a lot of my just individual bottle stopper casts. So when I need something, I've got it. And whether it be for like the mashers, which I know are smaller, or the shaving brush sets, which are smaller blanks, just something fun. You know, you've got it. Why throw it away? So with that, if there's no other questions,
The reason that I brought that up, I see people saying, "Oh, well, I can do something this weekend." Understand that John spends a tremendous amount of time and has a background of doing all this stuff. When I ask him 4 days ahead of time, I recognize that he's also bringing 15 years of experience to it, and he'll find a way to do it in fairly short order.
well,
But if you go to your friendly local Michael's and pick stuff off the shelf and then come back and expect the same results, please don't. You know, understand that there's an awful lot of chemistry that goes into this. So when you're using something trying to emulate what John did, be very specific. Make sure that you're using the same kind of product that he used. It will work. He's
Yeah.
not lying to you.
most of the
But if
time
you
it'll
try
work.
to cut
right?
every corner and I'm the first guy that's going to cut every corner, so I understand where you're headed.
Yeah.
But we got to understand that he really does have a wealth of knowledge and has had enough failures to know what won't work.
That's
Well,
exactly it.
and you
It's
stick with-
understanding the resins.
Yeah, you
And-
stick with the chemicals that have been good to you.
And yeah, I mean, I started casting in 2005, 2006, playing with it. I got serious about it around 2008. And I've been a full-time caster. I've been retired now for 6 years, and that's all I do now is cast. And it's, not everything's going to turn out. You're going to have failures, but you've got to be consistent in your techniques. You've got to take notes, keep track of, I warmed this for this amount of time. I used this mold. The temperature was this. Keep notebooks. Terry, exactly. I can't be a bigger advocate of keeping a notebook. And I will tell you the biggest reason for that is because when it turns out, you want to be able to replicate that. And if you wait too long to do it a second time, you might forget something, a small technique. It's just something in there that may change it. So variables, when it doesn't work for me, I start ironing out. I separate all the variables. All right, what mold did I use? What resin did I use? Did I warm the resin? How long did I mix it? What was the temperature that day? Was it humid? I look at everything. And then I start breaking it down. Then what colorants did I use? Did I use mold release? Did I cast it vertically? Was it a block mold? So did I seal the object inside? I mean, everything is one separate step that you may have to change one little thing in the middle to just get better results. So, all right. Well, with that, I'll step out of the way. And if
Mark, come in.
you want to talk briefly about handles,
Oh, yeah.
Just because I lost it.
Yeah.
Just do you want to do the second? Is there another giveaway?
Yeah, there will be another giveaway. He
I
gives
can,
us-
if we're ready, I can do the second giveaway now.
whatever works for you, buddy.
If you want to do it now while I'm setting up,
Out there 1 second. Whoops, I will get it out there 1 second.
and it's mystery box number 2.
do 3D. Do it in 3D.
We'll cast the mystery box in a block of resin, and you have to turn it to get it open.
Beat me here.
Yeah. Well, I've been called a lot of things, never EF hunting.
All right, so we're just gonna give it a minute. Where is the pizza cutter that I had?
This one?
No, not that one. The one that I wanted to show.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you leave it in your bucket?
Or did I leave it back in the other room? Nope, here it is. All right,
So-
so Dean, am I good to go? I didn't know if you were running your other contest, so I was waiting.
You can go ahead. I'm having a little technical difficulty for you. So why don't you go ahead and start? I'll put it in a second.
Okay. So one of the things that Ed asked me to mention or talk a little bit about is this new tool rest. And I love this thing. So it's a tool rest. I don't know if Dean, if you can go to the top view on this while we're talking, or a closer view on it,
It's this one. I think he probably would.
or side view. The nice thing about it is, well, I'll just pull it out of here.
That'll work.
I'll pull it out and I'll just go right to that front camera, Dean. So the nice thing about this tool rest is it's basically a round stock, but it's completely flat up on the top. And for those of us who use carbide tools, I think this is going to be a game changer with how easy this is and how much better it is. As you can see, when I'm using my carbide tool now, instead of it being only on one little point of a traditional, or if I'm using the round bar, I've got this stabilized in here, and it's perfectly going to lock up and hold right on there. And I'm always going to be in that nice level flat position. So I'm not going to take a lot of time to go through this, but I want to just show you the advantage of the new tool rest. So same thing that John does. I like to use B-certs in making a lot of my bottle stoppers and my handles. And so the handle that we're going to kind of emulate right now is this thing. And this was a hand cast handle, half wood, half acrylic on a pizza cutter. And I love these things. I think these things are a lot of fun to turn because then you can turn it and match it with, if it's a gift, you can match it to the favorite colors of the person that they're doing. You could do it if you're going to be doing anything where you're going to be casting it to the colors of the kitchen. You could also cast maybe a suspended skull in one of them at some point and be able to turn the suspended skull in one of these things. But it's a great little fun little thing to do. And I, as Ed said, I only use carbide tools. And so the key about a carbide tool, if you've ever seen me talk when I do one of my demos, is the tool wants to be here. I know people will talk about you can basically make a negative rake cutter by holding the tool up here or holding the tool down here. The tool always wants to be flat on this. And so what I'll do now with this new tool rest, I can lock it down, take it over to my open part of the blank that I'm going to be turning, and I can make sure that I am perfectly, and I'll do it on the other side, Dean, so you get a much better view on it, that I'm perfectly level with where that point is going in. So now I know that I'm always going to be level with the turn, and you can see here, this is flat. So I don't have to worry about it being on a tool rest, or if I catch it down here. I think this is going to be a heck of a lot safer and just a lot easier to use. So now I'm going to do my same technique where I'm holding the tool with my hand over here. The other part of the hand typically goes over here, and I'm going to tuck the tool underneath my arm, and that's how I'm going to make my cut on this thing. So played with this a little before, so I'm simply going to lock it down, make sure that I got this in. So I will show you that first on this one. This is another blank. It's just another one of the hand cast blanks, half wood, half acrylic. Same thing. I'm using the B-cert. So there's the B-cert that's in there. I've got it in the upper part of the camera there. That's the B-cert that's in there.
drilled at 1/2 inch all the way down and epoxied in. Now, after tonight, I'm going to start doing it at 12.5 millimeters and pressing it in because I think, seriously, I love that idea.
Yeah, it's just a little
And
tighter fit.
I will completely do that as I start on it. So the nice thing about it is this is the same kind of blank. This one's half wood, half acrylic. But as I was coming in, somebody told me they cast a spooky blank with the color scheme of everything that we're doing tonight. And so I'm just going to do a little bit of turning on here. Let's see. Dean, did you announce a winner yet?
Oh, he's waiting. He's
Nope.
getting them.
I'm waiting for you to stop. So our next winner is. Oh, crud, lost the button.
Oh, look, I won.
It's Mark. Wait, no, that's not right.
Right, because Mark doesn't win at anything.
I clicked twice, but it's Jules. Go back to find the Jules. I forget the last name. The last name was long. I'll put it in the text in a second. Go ahead and start, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry, Nathan. So I'm just going to do a little bit of turning on here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on here. I think I already covered what I wanted to cover on this tool rest.
Mhm.
I love the fact that it's flat. I love the fact that it's always going to be stable when I'm holding it, when it's down there on here. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to worry about that. And Dean, keep it at this camera angle because when I'm doing the turn, I think you'll be able to see that the tool is always staying at that camera angle. Simply holding the tool right there. I love that. The rain or the
Having a wonderful time with ribbons.
well, that's what you get. And when the tool is sharp,
You ever take the time to evaluate your ribbons? You talk about having nothing to do.
oh, I do. I do all the time.
And you look at a ribbon and you can look at the width of the ribbon itself, and that tells you how much of your tool blade has actually come in contact with your object that you're turning. So the wider it is, the harder you're pushing. The narrower it is, the less you're taking at a time. If that matters to you, it will tell you you're not likely to chip out or you're very likely to chip out. The bigger that your width gets, the more likely you are to chip out the blank.
Well, and one of the things that I like to do just to entertain myself when I'm at home is to see how long I can make that ribbon.
Yeah, that's fun too.
And so, I mean, I've had them where you can just see one ribbon. And the cool part is, as it gets wrapped around the tool
Yep.
or wrapped around it, I know as you're doing it, it's kind of a nuisance, but it's fun for me to talk about that and do it. So the question comes up, am I using a negative rake cutter? No, on something that's pure acrylic like this, I'm fine with using just the traditional color cutters. I will use the negative rake on a couple different things. Really, really hard woods, I like to use the negative rake cutter. And if you're new to the tools, I tell people all the time, do all your rounding and getting it down to, maybe 1/4 of an inch, maybe even 1/8 of an inch of your bushings as a traditional cutter. Because if you do make any kind of mistake or you do get that little pop in there, no big deal on it. When you get down closer to the where you're actually going to make those finish cuts, switch the finish cut off to your negative rake cutter.
I will tell you that I taught a gentleman that worked for me, and I taught him on resins, different kinds of resins. He used nothing but the negative rake. So if you want to use the negative rake, it certainly is a good tool. But if you've been a good turner for years, you can do anything with anything. So essentially, yeah, Mark can make any tool talk. But if you're new at it, use the negative rake. It'll be easier for you.
I like the negative rake, as I said, when I'm doing a really, really hard wood on there.
Polyresin,
Yeah.
too. It'll
And-
chip up like crazy.
Yep. Yep. You know where it's really good is the old cat blanks.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, a couple other things. Can I just talk about the tool? I think I've mentioned this in past on here. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when I did one of the demos. All my tools, my carbide tools. Dean, you want to go to the front camera, please? All my carbide tools will typically have a piece of tape on here. It'll tell me how many times I've rotated the head of the tool on here. I will always start my rotations where I put the EasyWood logo straight up on top. And then, because someone asked me about this the other day, I will rotate this tool when I'm making those first cuts. Thank you, Dean. The tool will go in straight like this. And then when I want to make that, so this is the part of the tool that's getting beaten up a lot. It's doing all my rough turning and things like that. Then when I want to make those final end cuts on there and get that nice cut, I will rotate the tool to about a 45-degree angle. And then I'll use the fresh part of this edge so that when I'm making that final cut that's going across here, I'm using a fresh part of the edge on here. So I'm always getting a clean cut. And then when I actually go to rotate the cutter head, I'll take this edge, which has had at the 2 o'clock position, which has had the fresh cut. I'll rotate that up here. So I'm always rotating this tool counterclockwise. So then that way, that part of the tool will now become the part of the tool that's getting beaten up pretty hard. And then I will then take and get the new fresh edge to be my finishing cut on there.
I usually take a black Sharpie and I'll mark on top of the cutter head
Yep.
where I'm using it. That way I always know where I started.
So the only reason that I don't do that, and I agree with you 100%, that's great, but I will use fingernail polish remover a lot to clean this.
Mhm.
And I know one of the biggest things that people have talked about with carbide tools in general is they have a little challenge with the little screw in here,
Oh, yeah.
getting it gummed up, especially with some of the stuff that we'll do. So I will dip mine all the time, almost every night when I'm done, in fingernail polish remover. That keeps this thing completely clean. It keeps me from having to have cranked down on the screw to get that screw buried into it. I enough pressure to just lock it in. And so that's the only reason. I agree with you 100%.
You wipe it off.
Yep.
Acetone.
And so I'll just throw this extra piece of tape on here. This one says 1, so I know that was where EWT is. And then when it gets up to number 4, I know it's time for me to throw away that cutter head.
Nice. Somebody asked, what speed are you turning?
You know-
you're using a 60-degree life center.
So I am, on this case, I'm using a 60-degree live center. Let me, instead of doing a lot more turning on this one, because I'm also being conscious of the time that we're at, because I do want to leave it up for questions. The nice thing about using this 60-degree center, if I wanted to keep, let's say that I wanted to keep this bottom end here, and I didn't want to put this dimple in it. If I had, John, do you have your diamond bushings?
No, I don't.
I think I do down here. Give me 1 second while I look for something. Couple options on this is I will, which camera am I on? This side camera?
That one will work.
There we go.
Right, that's a good spot.
What I'll do is I'll use those Delrin bushings and I'll double them up. And this is from which pen mandrel is this one? This is the Turn Between Centers pen.
Yeah.
I love it. If you're going to get a pen mandrel, I love this one. I will tell you, ultimately, 2 to 3 years, maybe even a little longer, you might have to look at replacing it for the bushings. But I love this one. It's so much flexibility in here. So I'll take my Delrin rod and my Delrin bushings in here. And then if I were to knock this out and put this one in, now it's not, Dean, can we jump to the top camera again? Now it's not touching, or the front camera. Now it's not touching over up in here. You'd see that it's not touching. over as it's touching into here, and I'm not going to get that dimple. I have the little dimple in here now just because I was turning it with one of Ed's things. I can also take one of those turn between center bushings mandrels that we have. And this is just a little rubber, I don't know if it's called a bushing that I found on Amazon. And it has a 1/4-inch hole in it. And I know the machinists that are watching will say a 1/4-inch hole is not 7 millimeters. I completely understand. But with a little force,
Rubber is flexible.
yes, the 1/4-inch hole becomes a nice 7 millimeter hole that's on here. And you can see that I could put this up in there and I'm not going to get any marring. The other nice thing about using this type of thing is now in essence, it does become a bushing. So now if I want to rotate this handle and turn it down to something consistent, I have this. And even if my tool was to touch into here, it's not going to do any damage. And so this is, you may want to consider stocking
Yeah,
these,
it's an interesting
these
thought.
here.
Mhm.
I do use these a lot. There's 2 different sizes on here. I've got the small one, and then I'll use this. They've got a larger one that I'll use that I didn't bring. The nice thing about that is if you want to do something like a platter and you want to give yourself a little bit of stabilization, you can use this. You can use a pen mandrel to stabilize your platter.
Mhm.
So I'll put this in, hold it on there, just gives me a little bit of stabilization so I'm not worried about anything. This is just holding it as I'm turning it, and I'm not marring anything because I always use that little piece of rubber that's on there.
Cool. Very cool.
So I don't know how much more you wanted me to talk about it. I mean,
You're doing fine.
this is a much like the one John uses. This is one of the mandrels that Ed and Dawn carry up here. I love this. I do this a lot. It's got the it works great with the B-cert in here, and then I can just simply use the mandrel that came with this setup as the acting as the handle for my pizza cutter handle. Small, medium, and large rubber stoppers. And look for the ones with the 1/4-inch hole already drilled in them. I know Amazon carries these things. And
Yeah, because they use them in medical stuff
Yep.
too.
and they just hold right onto it. And you can see that the rubber is proud of it, so you don't ever have to worry about anything marring it or getting that little piece of rubber. I did it with the Live Center, and I did nick the bottom, but I would turn that off only because I didn't know that was the conversation we were going to have. We just wanted to talk a little bit more about the flat top tool rest and talk a little bit about more of that one. So now that I had that, hopefully I covered everything that I know we always are trying to be conscious to be right around that 2-hour mark.
Mhm.
So with that, if you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know and I will turn this. And much like you guys have, I will make sure that I bring something that maybe I can post or put out there or in your letter, and we can see what this thing looks like when it's done.
It looks like Dean is asking for final questions, which is a great idea. So if we have a couple of people that are interested yet,
So this is the turn between centers, live center,
right.
and I'll tell you, if you don't have one of these, this is one of the best investments I've ever made. You have no idea how many times I've used this in a pinch to give me something that I don't have. Right? It gives me stabilization. I can turn different size barrels on here. This one is I don't know how many years old, but I will be picking up a couple sets as I leave today because I needed a couple more of them. Any questions, comments, concerns, anything anybody had? Did you guys enjoy the last 2 hours?
We did.
Anybody still awake?
Wow, nobody asks when you did your part of the demo, but now when Mark does his part, we're going to ask if anybody's still awake.
Well,
get in the picture then.
What? Fortunately, we don't need that camera anymore.
You're right.
Cool.
Christopher asks,
What
"What's
next
next
and
and when?"
Wait, can you get a size 0 in between centers?
What's next and when? Well, every fourth Thursday is when we have these presentations. So we know that there will be another presentation similar to it on the fourth Thursday of November, which is
Are-
very
have-
close, if not Thanksgiving.
I was just going to ask that.
I'm not sure, but
It is
you'll-
Thanksgiving. I
it
think.
is Thanksgiving. Then it won't be on that day. So essentially, the answer to your question is still unknown. We will have to determine how we're doing it. We've talked about a number of possibilities for adding a couple anyway. So we'll keep you informed in our Sunday email. I assume that all of you are on it, but if you're not already receiving our Sunday email, send us a email at sales@exoticblanks.com and just indicate that you want to get on our Sunday mailing list. And then every Sunday, you're lucky enough to get a email that I wrote all darn day. And sometimes they're halfway decent. But generally speaking, what you want to do is
Holiday
be
special.
into that because it gives you our specials for that week. And it also gives you what's going on with the MPG and what's going on with our presentations and so forth. So that's the best place to get information. Thank you. Lots of great information.
Okay.
Yep.
You know what? Another thing is, we always talk about this. You can throw it in the comments now, or shoot us an email at sales@exoticblanks.com. Let us know. We're constantly evolving. As we said, if you've watched some of our original ones, we did a lot of breadth of topic where we talked a lot about different things. This one, we're doing a lot more depth, where we're taking a specific project and we're going really deep into it, like I did with the corn cob turning. And then we added a little bit of excitement on the other part, as if that wasn't exciting enough.
Oh, yeah.
But we're giving a little bit of a taste of some other things that we can talk about. And so John's casting one is good, and John's casting system, and a little bit about some of the new tools. We think this is a format that we kind of like, where we're going to give you a little bit of a project and then some of the new things that are out and some of the ways that you can do it. So if that works for you, please let us know at sales@exoticblanks.com. Also shoot us an email. For always looking for topics.
Last thing I'll throw back out there again is for those you saw it in the chat, maybe you didn't. With the first half of the video being talking about corn cob and TransTint, both of those are on sale for a while. So go out to the website, look for the YouTube specials, and you'll find both those under the YouTube specials on sale.
And I see a new registrant for the MPG. You're going to be fortunate enough by me to get 6 tickets with the shot at winning that hopefully Jet Powermatic lathe.
And we always have backup prizes too. So
Easywood Tools has donated usually a set of tools. I know Exotic Blanks has donated. Dawn had donated a pressure pot a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Yeah.
We get some great products and prizes.
So with all that in mind, we look forward to seeing you again the next time. And at the present time, we don't know when the next time is, but we will keep you informed. And
Well, after Thanksgiving dinner, we could just all pop over here.
oh, sure we will.
I think we can turn a turkey.
I was just going to say,
Or we'll cast a turkey.
I was just going to say, John's going to cast the
I'll
turkey.
cast a turkey. We'll bring it up and then we'll turn
I don't think so.
it.
So, at any rate, thanks to all of you. And Dean, I think we can call it a night.
Oh, you know what? There's a good thing here. Maybe a slideshow of what people. You know what? I like this idea. It's a little bit of a blend of what Christopher's recommending. If you guys actually start to do some of this stuff, is it okay to send pictures? Send pictures to sales@Exotic Blanks. I think we would love to show pictures at the beginning of the demo or at the end of a demo of what people have done over the course of the last
That'd be
couple
fun.
years.
Yeah.
And we'll pop it up and we can make Dean put it together in a PowerPoint slideshow and have everybody there.
I was just going to say, somebody else said, or if you get stuff from the mystery box and you turn it,
Cast
anything,
and bones,
anything
that
you
can be
want to,
done. They just have to be real dry.
there you go. Chicken bones, gross. But yeah, we can definitely do, instead of my little spinning clock at the beginning of the show, we could start the show 10 minutes early and spin through examples of things people have done from exotic stuff or
Sure.
things that they've done. That'd be a fabulous, fun thing to do. So for sure. And
Cool.
something to remember next time you put out the YouTube reminder, tell people to send in pictures and we'll get that ready before the go live. I like it.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, pictures and ideas for things that we should be thinking about. I think he meant the Yule log, but a rule log would be fun too. But I think a Yule log would be kind of fun.
You'll,
Yeah.
yeah, so much for instant correction.
Is that a slide
Yeah,
rule
sometimes
log?
that's pretty bad.
Only we're old enough to remember that.
So the biggest question I have is, since I started your blank, do I get to keep
You
it?
get to keep it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you can have it.
So I will have a Halloween pizza cutter for you guys next time to check out.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to shut us down then. Have a good
Thanks,
night, all.
Dean. Good night, everybody.
See you, Dean. Thanks, everybody.